What do you think the friends of sick people, the friends of those who were suffering from demons, were thinking when they brought and laid the cots on which the people they cared about were lying in the street, in the mere hope that the shadow of Peter, as he passed by, might fall on them? For they knew that miraculous things were happening. The power of God was coursing through the apostles and the disciples who gathered at the portico of Solomon. They dared not join them. It's an interesting wrinkle. But they knew something was happening. But would you call it faith that was impelling them to bring their friends and acquaintances? Was it some form of hope? Was it, why not? Nothing else has worked. We do know that those apostles, through these healings that they were doing in these early days of the church, these heady days of the church, were bringing untold numbers of people into the faith. People who themselves were filled with the Spirit, and then went on to do miraculous things. This is juxtaposed against our second reading with John on the Isle of Patmos. This is now much later, the last book written in the New Testament. And John is in some degree of hiding. John is part of a church that is being persecuted. And yet it is the Lord himself who comes and appears behind him and reminds him, I am the Alpha and the Omega. I am the one who will live forever. Write down what you see. Remind the world all that is still being done in me, even though these aren't heady days, these are difficult days. The one who is at the center is unchanged. When Jesus appears to the disciples in the locked upper room, twice he says to them, peace be with you. In a few minutes, Grace will be standing before us and receiving the seal of the Holy Spirit on her baptism. She's requested it and now seeks to finish her sacraments, complete her sacraments of initiation. And after sealing her with sacred chrism, the same chrism the Archbishop blessed just a week and a half ago at the Chrism Mass at the Pro Cathedral, a ceremony in which he lifts the cover off a giant urn of oil and breathes over it, inspiring it, giving it the Holy Spirit. Just as Jesus breathed on his disciples, his apostles, we hear in today's reading, and says, receive the Holy Spirit. Grace will be sealed with this Spirit-filled oil, which is transformative in her life. Just like baptism, it is received but once. But it promises all of those gifts we know the Holy Spirit can bring: wisdom, strength, and good counsel. And it seals her like an athlete to be ready for whatever comes her way as a Christian. We trust it won't be hardship like John on the Isle of Patmos. But we hope that will be a life filled with zeal for Christ, a life proclaiming the good news with her life, a life in which she takes her gifts and her talents and puts them at the use of Jesus so that our world might be a better place. Isn't that what Pope Francis called us all to do when he reminded us there are no illegal people, when he reached out to migrants and went to the place where their boat was found regularly where people died simply crossing the Mediterranean to find a better life. It's what he said to us at the southern border of the United States when he reminded us we're to build bridges, not walls, and calling us to be mindful that the very people, the very least in our midst, are the ones who most need our love and our care, and the ones who are most in the embrace of God. It's what he said when, without changing church teaching, he reminded us that all people are loved and that all people need to be treated with dignity and respect. And he reached out in meaningful and real ways to gays and lesbians and those who find them bisexual and transgendered. And he called the whole church to be mindful that these are God's precious children too. Today we have this reminder of this man who led us for the last 13 years. In a few months we'll be saying another name in the Eucharistic prayer. And we'll be hearing from other people. But what Francis did in his ministry is what each of us needs to open our ears to hear. That we're called to be alive in faith. We're called to reach out and make ties with our Muslim brothers and sisters, especially here in Dublin, where their own community on the south side is undergoing its own pressures and strains and divisions. We're called to, as he did, kiss the feet of migrants, to remind ourselves of how God regards them. All of that is in your future, Grace. You're standing here before us, ready to complete your sacrament of initiation, and we're excited to be a part of it. And we look forward to seeing how you allow these gifts to blossom in your being and to witness to Christ in everything you say and do.